So this symposium today has the doyen of this Shastra, Professor V.N. Jha. All of you are aware that Professor V.N. Jha has taken it upon himself just not to leave Nyaaya Shastra Adhyayana Adhyapana only to the Shastriya Gurukulas. He is taking it to the popular forums. He has been teaching Nyaaya Shastra to the general laymen from compared to the Shastra students. And by now he has organized scores of such workshops and trainings where general people, general learned people, educated people participated in the learning of Nyaaya. His teaching is so impressive that in Kerala, one person who learned from his course offered him a huge land to start a Nyaaya teaching place. He's so impressed that he wanted to donate a land to him. And all over India, if you go to general learners of Nyaaya Shastra, you have many people from corporate company jobs, from law field, from general academics in the universities, which are not actually philosophy departments or Sanskrit departments. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of students of Professor V.N. Jha who have been learning Nyaya Darshana. And he has been devising courses on Vada Shastra, courses on debating, particularly at MIT School of Vedic Sciences, where I was also involved in the curriculum design and teaching. Professor V.N. Jha created a whole course on debating, and he contributed several books and articles on Vada Shastra from Nyaya Shastra. So we are very fortunate today to have none other than Professor V.N. Jha, who is the icon of teaching and learning of Vada Shastra and also Nyaya Shastra among us today. He has come here out of all his affection for INDICA, in spite of he being very busy with a family function. He has been kind enough to say that he will be able to stay for the keynote address and then leave the symposium. I request him to deliver the keynote address and guide the symposium through his address.
Thank you, Professor Paturi, for your kind words. But you have really stated the truth that for no reason our generation, the younger generation, believes that all intellectualism is imported from the West, and as if we did not have anything of our own. The fact remains the reverse. So we have the same goal. Some years back, we established one trust called Rishi Rina Trust. All that we have is just given by our rishis, and it is our duty that we should make it available to the whole country and whole world, as it were. So some attempts from my side And I'm very glad that INDICA is also taking the same focus. And in whatever capacity it is possible for me, I will be with you. So thank you for associating me with this event. Unfortunately, today I have a little busy program, so I shall not be able to attend the whole day. But I wish that everything is taken in its right spirit and you keep on contributing. I can assure that there is a lot to contribute to the humanity. There is an amazing treasure house our forefathers have handed over to us, and it is our duty to make it available to one and all. So with this, I once again thank you, Professor Paturi, and please allow me, after I complete my presentation, to leave. So friends, let us spend some time on this theme. A broad picture I'm trying to present before you. And the whole day you will be deliberating very deeply, I'm sure. India, as we have heard Professor Paturi, that it has a very ancient and rich tradition of dialogue, right from the Vedic times. And in a very ordinary form, you'll find dialogues in these suktas, Yavayami Samvada, Pururava Urvashi Samvada, and so on, in number of. And through the Upanishads, the dialogue tradition continued. And later on, it was theorized and brought into a system of knowledge by Nyaaya Shastra. In fact, the structural depth of Indian epistemology is the contribution of this very dialogical mode of communication. This is my understanding. Human being has limitations to arrive at the truth. A single individual may fail. And so, when we share understandings of others also, we keep on getting richer and richer. A beautiful observation of this kind has been made by language philosopher Professor Bhartrihari in the 5th century AD. Pragya vivekam labhati, vinnehi agamadanti. The knowledge gets transformed into wisdom when you are exposed to other ways of knowing. Vinnehi agama darshane. And why is he telling this? He says that don't forget that you are a human being, and by definition, you are a limited being. So, kiyadva shakyamunnetum, how much can you conjecture? You might be intelligent number one, still you carry limitations. So how much can you infer? How much can you conjecture if you solely depend on your own capacity of conjecturing. So, kiyadba sakyamunnetum swatarkam anudhavata. And that is why it is always beneficial to listen to others and get richer and richer. And so that mode of acquiring the knowledge is the knowledge of debate or discourse or dialogue, in whatever language you feel proper, you can put it. Let us take a bigger canvas, and then you can imagine the way the Indian intellectuals, philosophers, theorized the whole thing. And then you'll be able to appreciate. So let us take a bigger canvas in order to appreciate the holistic approach of inquiry into truth advanced by the Indians. Starting for everything, you will ask that what for anything is being done by a human being. So there is a goal. And what is the goal of life? Even that has been theorized and put into two levels. The immediate goal is abhyudaya. Let us call it achievement. We are familiar with this goal. But we are not familiar with its incapacity, its lack of capacity to take you to a state of joy forever. And therefore, the thinkers, the philosophers, Indian philosophers, the Vedic philosophers further reflected on this. And they thought that this would posit ultimate goal of life. And they called it Nishreyasa by different names. We call it Mukti, whatever. So, two-tier goals of life. And what could be the means? The Nyaaya philosophers, logicians, thinkers, analysts concluded that it is only the knowledge of truth which can bring about, which can materialize both the goals of life. So knowledge of truth, what they call it, padartha tattva jnana. Nyaaya believes that both the goals of life, namely abhyudaya and nishreyasa, can be achieved by knowing the reality of the universe. What is reality, after all? Vatsyayana asks, Kim Purah Tattvam? What is truth? What is reality? And he is so beautifully, so simple language he puts it. Tataha cha sadbhavaha, asataha cha asadbhava. That's all. Sat, what is sataha cha sadbhava? He further explains. Sat iti grihyamanam. So something you say, this is a chair, this is a flower. So flower. Anytime you encounter, you say it's a flower. And you catch it in that form. Yatha bhutam, as it is, as flower. Aviparitam, and not other than flower. That is tattva. That is reality. So sat iti grihyamanam, yatha bhutam, aviparitam tattvam bhavati. In the same way, the flower is in the garden. The same flower is not there in the whole other space of the universe. And so, unless both are true, both are the truth, the reality cannot be understood. So the other part of the reality should also be focused. Asatcha, asaditi grihyamanam. Yathabhutam, again the same criterion, as it is, abhipuritam, not the other way around, tattvam bhavati. So bhava and abhava, these two states constitute the whole universe. So no bhava as bhava, no abhava as abhava. Knowing X as X and Y as Y is the knowledge of reality. And this knowledge is going to take me to transformations of helping to achieve the first goal and also the last goal of life. How to know the reality? Of course, by pramana. Pramana, what is pramana? The process of internalization. Now we, jiva, are programmed in that way. Our configurations are like that. We are provided channels through which we can internalize the external. Even internal should be externalized, internalized. What is the meaning of internalization? Making something as object of your cognition and awareness of it. And these processes of internalization can be put into four according to Nyaaya: pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, and shabda. So Gautama says, pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, shabda, pramanani. If you classify these four, you can put into two categories. One is direct process. This is what it's called, directly internalizing, making the universe object of your cognition. This is perception. And the remaining three, anumana, upamana, and shabda, inference, analogy, and language. These are also processes of knowing the universe, but they are indirect process of knowing the universe. Look at the Kautilya. A king has to be educated first, and he should be provided knowledge in these four knowledge systems. Anvikshiki, Trayi, Varta, Dandanitis, Cheti, Vidya, he says. So these are the knowledge systems. It is in Vidya Samuddesha, 5th century BC statement. You can see. So an administrator has to be first educated with this kind of holistic education, which should consist of Anvikshiki, Trayi, the Vedic heritage, Varta, economics and commerce, and Dandaniti, political science and administration. Of course, all these require an analytic tool, and that is logic and epistemology called Anvikshiki. This is how the Kashmiri logician Jayanta Bhatta has interpreted the term Anvikshiki. Anvikshiki is understood as Nyaaya Vidya or Nyaaya Shastra. Jayanta Bhatta, a great logician of Kashmir of 9th century AD, says, Iyameva Anvikshiki Chatasrinam Vidyanam Madhye Nyaaya Vidya Ganyate Pratyaksha Agama Abhyam Ekshitasya Anuikshanam Anviksha Anumanam Ityartha. So Nyaaya Shastra is in reality, Upama is Anumana Shastra. Tad Vitpadaka Shastram Anvikshakam. This is the first Andika of the Nyaaya Manjari. By the way, I have started translating it. It is in 12 Andikas. It's an encyclopedia of Indian philosophy. All that went on up to the 9th century, all debates, all discourses, And the gist of all that you can identify in Nyaaya Jayanta's Nyaaya. It's a wonderful, I mean, a human being can produce such a text is simply amazing. Totally further observes the role of Anvikshiki, and that is why the king must be trained in logic and epistemology. Pradeepaha sarvashastrana. So our children believe that when you say a human being is a rational being, this idea also has come from the West. When we came in contact with the Westerners, then only as if we started realizing that the human being is a rational human being. Look at the 5th century BC. I don't know what was happening in those days in other parts of the world. He says, Pradeepaha is the science of all sciences. It's a lamp to see any knowledge system. Pradeepaha sarvashastrana, upayaha sarvakarvana. Sorry. I'm sorry. Because in another room we have to. Anashraya sarvadharmana shashvatanvikshaki mata. So you can see, man is a rational being. His behavior, his thinking, anything and everything is guided by this logic, rationality. You can check it in the Vidyasthana of Kautilya. So Gautama, in the first sutra, you can see the list 16 items. If you look very closely, that these 16 are in one way or the other related to inference. And it is through this mode, this is a very powerful mode to arrive at the truth. Of course, because it's a Nyaya Shastra is also a system of philosophy. So this statement includes directly he addresses the ultimate goal of life, but in analysis with a calm and quiet mind, if you can think, you will find that the same analysis applicable for achieving goal 1 as well. And here you find the mention of Bada, Jalpa, and Vitanda. I will be talking more about it little, presenting the Vatsyayana's commentary on this. So Nyaya believes that both the purposes of life, namely Abhyudaya, Nishreyasa, can be achieved by knowing the reality as it is, X as X, Y as Y. However, the padartha, these are padarthas. These padarthas are not to be confused with the padarthas of Vaisheshika. Vaisheshikas actually categorize the whole universe. Here, this is particularly, this sutra is addressing the ultimate goal of life and addressing that how through inference, so srotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha, this kind of an idea, this kind of a method, this kind of an advice provided by the Upanishad is addressing that kind of a process. And so you listen to someone or you read, the next that step you should take up is manana, mantavya. So srotavya shrutivakyebhya mantavyascha upapattivi. So here comes the role of anumana. So through inference, through logic, through reasoning, through rationality, you should concretize the conclusion. And once you concretize it, and then you concentrate upon it, and then the first half of the clause Atmava Ari Dasnavya. And a lot of discussion is there that the order of words and the order of meaning, which should be taken to be preceding, and then Mimamsa rules, etc., are applied. So it's a big area of debate. So that was the starting. Now in Vada, or in what is called Katha, so Vada is Katha. Katha is discourse, a very powerful mode of inquiry into truth. And it has been defined in this way: Nana Vaktrika Purva Uttara Paksha Pratipadaka Vakya Sandarbha Katha. Just a discourse is a collection of sentences uttered by proponents and opponents. So it may be in a volume, it may be multi-volume, and whatever it may be, to make or to establish or to refute in either ways. And that method, that form of discourse is what is called Katha. Katha is Vada. There are three types of discourse, Vada. This is the ideal one. And you will find that later on by Annam Bhatta defines it in a very beautiful way, in a simple way, and points out that here the idea is to arrive at the truth. And that is why I started from with a bigger canvas. That it is the idea, is the reality of the truth that is to be focused, and that will bring us both the Abhridaya and Visnishaya Sabut. And this is one of the helping factor in that Vada. Jalpa has a motive to win. So naturally you can say this cannot be the ideal one. So by hook or crook also sometimes you try to win over others. And Vitanda is a very funny kind of a position, that you are bent upon just criticizing others, finding fault with others without providing any alternative of the solution of the problem. So this is called Visanda, aimless discourse. Definitions, all these definitions are given in the Nyaaya Sutra. So I will take it up a little closely later. This I will not deal. I will be focusing on Vada. Tarka is another mode where you need to sometimes construct a kind of a reality. So when you construct a kind of a reality with a purpose to demonstrate the relationship between the claim and the ground. So Hetu and Sadhya, the relationship, if someone has a doubt, so to remove the doubt beyond a possible doubt, you require to terminate that is the deal of doubting. And Tarka is helpful, though it is a construction. It is uha. So this is also required for Vada. This tradition up to, we are so fortunate that we have recorded this tradition of Vada up to 1,000 years record in the 4 commentaries known as Nyaaya Chaturgranthika. So right from Vatsyayana to Udyotakara to Vachaspati Mishra to Udayanacharya up to 10th century AD. These texts are in the form of a dialogue. We did not write a book called Dialogue, like that. But there are various ways of engaging yourself in a dialogue. One such way was to write commentary over commentary over commentary. So in a commentary, whatever problems, whatever questions have been raised, they have to be taken into consideration by the next commentator. So this is one a very strong, very valid, very reliable, very searching kind of a tradition of dialogue that you can find. Unfortunately, our students should start reading these invaluable treasures, from this point of view, and discover so many things which are just lying in the text. And that's why I wanted to mention that you have a recorded history of Vada here. A mode of dialogue that I just told you, that is a commentary over commentary over commentary over comment, and so on. So this is one form of dialogue. Even though I do not write a book under the title Vada or a book on dialogue, as it is in the Greek tradition, we have applied form of that dialogue. And this method, this mode of expression also should be taken as the mode of Vada or mode of dialogue or discourse. And beauty is that it is not that the dialogue is within a system. Within a system is an outside system. So inter and intra-systemic dialogue has been encouraged in Indian tradition, that contributed to the structural depth of the Indian epistemology. This is how the inquiry became holistic. So if you say someone says there is God, and then opponent will come, there is no God. And then even the Astika Darshana intellectuals also will join in this group. So not only Gnostics, but Gnostics will oppose the view that there is God. Even Astikas will come and join this. So all this has happened. And therefore, because the idea is just to arrive at the truth. So irrespective of the fact whether Nastika is joining or Astika is joining or whatever. So that has been the focus. So inter and intra, both systemic dialogue has been encouraged in our tradition. Two stages of development we find. So the Nyaaya Shastra kept on developing tools, whatever required for making this tradition meaningful, dialogical tradition meaningful, and helping the participants to understand better and better. And you look from this point of view, then you can see that there is Prachina Nyaaya, which is issue-oriented, and Navya Nyaaya is method-oriented. So you can see, not that there was no method in Prachina Nyaaya, that they started it, but they got refined by inventing a new language of discourse. And so here the language was focused, and before that, the issues were focused and presented to us. So that makes the difference between the Navya Nyaaya and Prachina Nyaaya. Prachina Nyaaya was issue-oriented. Now, as I told you, your Chatur Granthika, you have a 1,000-year history, a recorded history with you of the development of Prachina Nyaaya. This 1,000 years of dialogue is known as Prachina Nyaaya. Fortunately, we have preserved huge amount of analytic literature of this period. Navya Nyaaya, Udayanacharya observed that in spite of clarification through commentaries, the dialogue is not always successful. Why? On reflection, he discovered that the use of natural language leaves a scope for doubt, and hence there is a need to develop a precise language of discourse. So necessity is the mother of invention. So you reflect, you identify the cause and the problem and solve it by developing a new language called Navya Nyaaya language. And thereafter you find that almost everybody started writing books in this language. So right from Udayana, he's the initiator. And then better applied and Shashadhara's Nyaaya Siddhanta Deepa, it had 26 essays on 26 topics presented in Vada format. Gangesha Upadhyaya Tattva Chintamani, Raghunatha Shiromani, Jagadisha's commentary on Raghunatha Shiromani, and Gadadhara's commentary on Raghunatha Shiromani. This is how the tradition grows, you can see. And not only that, it resulted not necessarily that both should see eye to eye. They may differ in interpretation, giving rise to two different schools. Emergence of two schools of the Nyaaya, Jagadisha school and Gadadhara school. Once the language of Navya was developed, it was adopted by all, you can see. Once, as it happened in the West, mathematics, for example, when you have symbolic logic, then even economics or other social science disciplines started using mathematics for precise communication. The same thing happened here in India. All the systems of knowledge started writing their works in this very language of Navya. Let it be Vyakarana or Advaita Vedanta or Rasanga aesthetics, Rasanga or Mimamsa, anything. Mimamsa or Bhatta Kaustuva. Anywhere you go, all serious, all analytic literature started to be presented in this very language, because the aim of this language was to minimize the chance of ambiguity. And in a debate, in a discourse, lesser the chance of ambiguity, better the revealing of the truth. So this is the language of debate, even today in traditional Parshala, but unfortunately we should have this kind of a perspective to look into the entire stuff, entire literature. This is what, let us spend some time on this, that Trisraha, so this is what Sayana 1, 2, 1, this is the definition of Vada. So Trisraha Kathaha Bhavanti. There are three types of discourses, Vadaha, Jalpaha, Vitandacha iti. And this is the definition of Vada. Pramana Tarka Sadhano Palambhaha, Siddhanti Viruddha, Abhiruddhaha, Panchavayavupapannaha, Paksha Pratipaksha Parigraha Vada. This is the definition. So Paksha Pratipaksha Parigraha Vada. So a Vada, the discourse, is a bulk of sentences, you can say, utterances, which will decide how to conclude and arrive at the truth. In some sentences are in favor of some concept, and other sentences are against that concept. When you have such a bulk of literature before you, then there should be a method by which you should come to a conclusion, and that method is the method of Vada. And Vatsyayana so beautifully, so clearly represents the whole thing. I think I may not be able to give you the whole thing today here, but please look into 1 to 1. Unfortunately, you have a translation by Ganganath Jha. And you can read the translation of Vatsyayana also. Little I will read and tell you. Ekadhikaranastau viruddho dharmo paksha pratipaksha. What is paksha and what is pratipaksha? Paksha and pratipaksas are the two properties which reside in one and the same thing. Ekadhikaranastau. Adhikarana is one, but how are these properties? The properties are opposing each other. Example will make you clear. One says asti atma, the other says nasti atma. So maybe a debate between Nyaaya and Buddhist, for example. And so atma is adhara, adhikarana. And the bhava, astitva, is one dharma, and nastitva is another dharma. being in one adhikarana. So ekadhikaranastha, but they are viruddha. One says asti bhava, and the other one says abhava. So they are viruddha. So this kind of properties which oppose each other and which are located in one and the same locus, these properties are called paksha and pratipaksha because they are opposing. Pratyanikatvat, virodhatvat. There is a virodha between these properties, and that is why they are called paksha and pratipaksha. And this pratipaksha and pratipaksha parigraha abhyupagama vyavastha. How to settle, how to accept which one is true. That method, that format is what is called Vada. But if the locus is different and properties are opposing, that will not be the case of Vada. So here is a counter example also he has given. Someone says Nitya Atma is Nitya, but another statement, Anitya Buddhi. No Vada, there is no scope of Vada here. Because here the locus of Anityatva, Nityatva is Atma, and Anityatva locus is Buddhi. Buddhi in Nyaaya means Jnana. So there is no question of Ekadhikaranastha Viruddha Dharma. So there is no question of application of Vada in this kind. You don't need to decide through a dialogue or through a debate which is right and which is wrong in such cases. You can give such clear-cut understanding of a concept and presenting it in this way has been given by Vatsyayana and the entire tradition later on you will find. Then why? And then he says that one thing, because the aim is to arrive at the truth, and therefore it must use pramana, the valid way of, valid means of, valid process of knowing, and also takes help of tarka, the constructed reality, to demonstrate the relationship between hetu and sadhya. So by sadhana, you have to prove something with the help of pramana and tarka, and also you can reject something. For rejection, also you equally require pramana and also require reasoning. So there are three qualifications of this vada. Pramana, tarka, sadhana, upalambha is one. The next one is siddhanta aviruddha. Siddhanta aviruddha. Now each one who is saying that Atma Asti has a position and Nasti also has a position. So he will be arguing, keeping in mind his own Siddhanta. So each one will be Siddhanta Aviruddha. Not that sometimes he will fall in trap of him. Then he will be, the Madhyastha will point out and Nigrahasthana is the only result. He will be declared out of the debate. So Siddhanta Aviruddha should be Vada. And this is the prana, the Panchavayavo Panna. Pararthanumana is the method, that is the Panchavayava, 5-member syllogism. So these three will constitute the body of, or the format of the Vada. And you should read this. I don't have, it will take some 2-3 hours to explain to you the whole thing. So please read the English translation of Ganganath Jha. Though the English has become very archaic now, so many years have passed, but I think now you'll be able to follow it. So please do that. So many things. I mean, it's just astonishing that they were going so deep and deep. You see, if you do not have a position, you cannot take part in the Vada. If you do not have a position, it becomes INDICA. If you do not want to address the truth, then your idea is only to win. Then this will be included in Jalpa. So you can see that is why later on you find that in Tarka Sangraha, Annam Bhatta has given a very simple and beautiful small definitions of these three forms of discourses. So I don't want to pass on, but I have to pass on. Now, just I read out this, that from whatever you will read here, you will find this astonishing simply. At least two participants should be there in the Vada. It is not a monologue. So there should be two participants, and two participants should have two conflicting positions. Atma asti, Atma nasti. Then only there can be Vada, otherwise no. Both of them must have clear positions. They must spell out, this is my position, this is my Siddhanta. And he will be favoring all arguments in favor of him and pointing out all the defects in the opponent. So for the Pratipaksha, the Vadi becomes the opponent, and for the Vadi, the Pratipaksha becomes the opponent. So both will be doing, but both must have a position. Method of settling the issue through the mode of Vada. The functional aspect of Vada is presented here. For refuting each other's position, each one of them must use valid process of knowing. This is pramana and also reason. Then this four implies that is why you can distinguish Vada from Jalpa. Because Jalpa, your idea is to win. So you can sometimes be so restless that you can use foul means. So chala, jati, nigrahas, etc. All this you may start using. And so that will result into Jalpa. But Vada will not allow this. Only exception is that because he has to refute the hetu provided by the opponent, so hetva is allowed to be used, though hetva is counted in nigrahasthana. But that is a, so no nigrahasthana other than hetva is allowed in Vada. This debate will continue till one of them gives up. Yavad ekaha nivrittaha. Now he doesn't have an answer. One who will give up will be declared defeated, and his or her position is rejected. The other position will be accepted as established, and he will be taken as the winner. The qualification Siddhanta Aviruddha used to underline the fact that in Vada, a participant cannot resort to a refutation only without having a position of his, as I told you. Otherwise, it will turn out to be Vitanda. So what you say is wrong, then what is right? Don't ask me. This kind of a debate nowadays, what is happening on TV channels. So this will not be allowed in Vada. If you adopt the mode of Vada, then if someone is engaged in this kind of a thing that what you say is wrong and what is right, don't ask me. Then he said, okay, then this is not the place for you to take part. Better when you will be arranging a debate of the form of Vitanda, you can come. And then let there be a competition of Vitanda. You can do it. Almost all channels, whenever you open, what is going on, because there's no awareness of any kind that we have such a tradition with us. Anyway, now I can only cry, that's all. The whole life I have been doing to convince that it is high time that you look into your own self, what you have and what you have lost. Anyway, God perhaps will, if he decides, perhaps he may rotate the wheel, and we may find that people start looking towards oneself. The qualification Panchavaya Panna implies that if the word Pancha is taken, now whether it is Vivakshita or not is a question that arises. In Panchavaya, whether Pancha is Vivakshita or not. That means will four member also will do, or more than 5 also will do. If this is done, then you'll be caught in Nigrahasthana. And that is why in Vada, you have to maintain only 5 sentences. Pratigya, Hetu, Udaharana, etc. These 5 only, and nothing, not more, not less. If you look at, there are several, I have already told you, several texts written in this format. If you look at the arrangement or the presentation of the text written in the Bhagavad style, you find this, that there is an issue selected, all divergent views on the issue are noted, each opinion is analyzed and critically examined. If unacceptable, why such a view is unacceptable is stated with appropriate grounds. That is, we should see that pramana and tarka. If needed, clarification of the statement. If something is not clear, it may ask in the middle, further clarification. That also is done. And after having examined all this way, all the views finally, the Siddhantin's view is stated and examined and established. What else can be a more scientific method of arriving at the truth? And how many of us are aware of all this? So I must thank Professor Paturi for initiating this. Annam Bhatta puts them in a very simple and lucid form. Tattva Utsoho Katha Vadaha, a discourse which aims at knowing the truth, a desire to know the truth. Jalpa Vijigishu Katha, a discourse where the aim is to win. So you can adopt foul means also here. And Vitanda, as I told you, that Swapaksha Sthapana Hina, I don't have any position, but what you say is wrong. Aparapaksha Vidalana Mata Avasana. I mean, I find only this nowadays. And also this, of course, Jalpa and Vitanda, hardly I come across Bhava. Abhiprayantarena, anyway, I will not touch on this. So this is the idea of Vada. So Vada aims at truth. So in terms of the purpose of this method, the definitions have been provided. And so nice, so beautiful it is. So you can have a look into all that I have told you in the 26 essays written in the Vada format in the text called Nyaaya Siddhanta Deepa of Shashadhara of Mithila. Tathasintamani also 4 sections, but in each section, subsections are all in the format of Vada, because these are all discourses, all debates. So you can check. A need of the hour, my friend, incorporate this intellectual tradition into the mainstream of education. Let the learners master this tool to understand, analyze, communicate, and respond to any problem intellectually. What else should be the aim of education? I wish the deliberations meaningful and the symposium rewarding. Thank you very much.
Namaste, sir. Thank you very much. As always, that was so lucid, at the same time profound. That is actually a very good example of what happens when you have a complete grasp over the subject. The most profound things are made so simple to the audience. I should share a coincidence here. When Harikiran Vadlamani Garu suggested topics for symposiums, he suggested 2 topics. One is Vedic debating, the other is Vedic dialogue. It is such a coincidence that you focus on dialogues today so much. and you gave a new idea. We did not have this when we were thinking of the symposium on Vedic dialogue. That commentaries on commentaries can be considered to be dialogues.
Yes.
That's a wonderful suggestion. That's a wonderful idea. And our next symposium is going to be on Vedic dialogues only. I request you to come and guide us during that symposium also. That's actually we wanted to have the Vedic dialogue symposium first and debating next. But this idea that you were giving with regard to dialogue has not seeped into our intellectuals in India so much. That is why we thought we should give them some time to actually understand that there is a dialogue tradition.
Some exposure is required to be.
Some exposure is required. So debating has to be first, because people are already aware of Vada, at least to some extent. So let us first start with debating topic and then let us move to dialogues with thought. But as a broader topic, we will take up the topic of Vedic dialogues for our next symposium, sir. And thank you very much for bringing that perspective of discourse and dialogue and putting Vada as part of the broader canvas of dialogues and discourse. Thank you very much.